Welcome to Dodgers Daily. I'm Casey Porter. I'm so glad that you decided to tune in. We have a different show today. Hey, we don't have any Dodgers baseball to talk about last night. Oklahoma City, they had two different postponements. Their game started 30 minutes late, then it got postponed again. I do have all the action from those games, from that game on my social medias. But then Tulsa played a full game, and then Great Lakes got postponed, and Rancho doesn't have video. Okay, and then, like I said, we don't have the Dodgers to chew on from last night. So what we're going to do, kind of a catch-up type day. I've had several different questions that people have asked me that I've been wanting to address on a Dodgers Daily show, and just felt like, hey, the shows are long enough. If I go into, maybe a segment of mailbag, it's going to make the show even longer. That probably wouldn't make the show any better. So I wanted to wait for a day where we kind of had, the least amount of action, where I could get to some of these questions and talk about them a little bit more in depth when it's not on the end of a show that is so cram-packed with action already that, hey, maybe people don't pay as much attention to it as you'd like. So, hey, that's what today's going to be. It's a mailbag. I have 10 different questions from comments on videos and or straight DMs and personal messages to me. So I have 10 of them, the 10 that I chose to answer today. And again, hey, if you have a question and if you like this mailbag session, hey, go ahead and DM that to me. You can email it to me. It's on my webpage at casey.porter73@gmail.com, and or just shoot me a personal message or leave a comment on YouTube here. And we're going to do more mailbags like this in the future. Hopefully I'm going to get Chase Whiska is going to get back with us. We're actually going to start our Dodgers Dawgs show again here before too long, probably this week. So super excited about that. He is, his high school season's over, so he has time now. So, hey, we're going to get back into that. So hopefully we're going to incorporate him into some of these mailbags as well. But that's what today's show is going to be. Hey, but don't forget, before we get into this, you do have the ability to donate to Dodgers Daily if you'd like to help Dodgers Daily grow by donating. Scroll down to the description. The link is in the description. Just click that. It'll take you right to the Dodgers Daily GoFundMe. Also, hey, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment, because the more interaction there is, the more it gets suggested, the more views it gets, and the more Dodgers Daily keeps growing. And tell all your friends, and then turn on your notifications. Make sure your friends have their notifications turned on. That way, every time Dodgers Daily releases a new video, you'll be notified, and you'll never miss a thing. Hey, I know I've been releasing a lot of videos lately, and that may bug some people because that's a lot of notifications, but I had 8 different interviews, and I just decided to do the Tulsa ones on one day and the Oklahoma City ones on the next day. Then I have my daily podcast. So, hey, it's not going to be that busy very often. Usually it's one video a day. So go ahead and turn on your notifications. Okay, so let's get to the mailbag. Time to answer some of the questions that Dodgers fans have had, over the last couple of weeks. So, hey, let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's talk Dodgers baseball. Okay, so the first question that I had was, question number one, I felt it would be appropriate that we talk about the Dodgers' number one prospect, Diego Cartaya. And there's Andy Paez. Look how good he looks. He's lost quite a bit of weight. He has been on the shelf. Too bad. Hey, Paez, by the way, he came up to AAA Oklahoma City. Here's a good look at Cartaya. Came up to Oklahoma City, and the first game he was in AAA, he actually got hurt. He's been on the shelf since. Okay, here's a look at Cartaya. Watch what I want you to see. Watch the negative bat angle that he swings with. I'm going to back this up just a touch, and I'm going to stop it. Okay, there's a good look at Cartaya. Watch the negative bat angle here, right? Well, I didn't get it quite. Let me back up just a touch. Okay, so the negative bat angle, okay, as you see, it goes below his hands. I'm not doing a very good job of stopping this in time. Let me see if I can get it right here. Okay, the negative bat angle below the hands, of course, obviously, the barrel always goes below the hands before you hit. But Diego Cartaya, okay, he's a guy that likes to swing with what is called a negative bat angle, simply meaning the barrel is below the hands. Okay, and then also, if you watch his hands from here on out, he also lifts his hands. See how his hands are lifting as well? So I'm going to back this up again. I'm going to let you watch the barrel go below the hands, and then also lifts the hands. See how he lifts the hands there? Okay, so typically speaking, you need to do one or the other. I'll give you an example. J.D. Martinez and Mike Trout, there's two examples. They swing with pretty severe negative bat angles, but if you actually watch the path of their hands is flat, okay? So if you have a negative bat angle and you lift your hands, okay, yeah, you're going to hit a lot of moon shots like we see right here from Diego Cartaya. This is actually a high pop-up type fly ball. But what you're also going to have is quite a few holes, especially on the inner half of the zone and on the top half of the zone. So, okay, Diego Cartaya, as I back this up one more time and we look at this, my opinion, okay, as there you go again, you saw Diego Cartaya swing there. My opinion with Diego Cartaya, okay, as we saw that, he needs to make up his mind. Does he want to swing with more of a flat barrel, more of an east-west barrel, or does he want to swing with more of a flat path with his hands? Typically speaking, the barrel thing is almost next to impossible to fix, at least in my experience. Good luck taking a guy who's used to swinging with a negative bat angle and flattening out the barrel. It is super tough to do. To me, it's easier to straighten out the path of the hands, something that Robert Van Scoyoc is huge with. If you watch all the Dodgers on deck, just watch out, kind of like an airplane, if you will, where, it's like a pilot when he's in training, that airplane, you have to, if you go straight down, you're going to crash. And if you're going straight here, you'll never land. So you kind of want to come slightly down. Then you want to land on the runway, that flat path, that's the strike zone there. And then as you're taking back off, okay, you don't take off straight up because planes don't work that way, right? You just kind of slightly take off. Okay, well, that's the front of your swing when you're slightly taking off, and hitters want to hit the baseball right at the front of that swing, right when they're slightly taking back off. Okay, but it's after they've had a flat path with their hands. If you're lifting your hands and swinging with a negative bat angle, which is where I think Diego Cartaya is at right now, I think that's why he struggled to transition to the AA level. I think Miguel Vargas, he has always been an east-west hitter. I think he got with JD Martinez, and he's trying to do north-south hitter type things. As an east-west hitter, he's getting out over the ball, and because of that, he's going around the ball, and it's making it very difficult for him to pull the hands back inside of an inside pitch. I think that's some of the issues with Miguel Vargas right now as well. So, hey, I think Diego Cartaya is in the process of figuring out how to cover his holes, how to fix his holes, and I think the biggest hole he has is that he lifts the hands and he also swings with a negative bat angle. Okay, so like I said, I don't think he's ready for the major leagues right now. I think that's an adjustment that only failure can force you to have to make. I think he's in that process. It has been a slow start for him as far as statistics goes in 2023, and he's in the process of making that adjustment right now. And hey, he's hit home runs in 3 games in a row. I saw one with my own eyes. He also has a double, and he looks fantastic. I also got to watch him take batting practice, and he was very impressive. So that's just my opinion. Take that for what it's worth. I could be completely wrong. Hey, you may totally disagree with me with what I'm saying, but that's what I see with Diego Cartaya. I think that process, as far as creating a major league swing that can create consistency against pitchers at the major league level that can hit every location just about every time that they want, and they can find your weaknesses and exploit it because they're good enough to do that consistently. I think he's at least a year away from having a swing that he can rely on to be consistent at that level. But hey, that's just my opinion of Diego Cartaya. And like I said, hey, if you disagree with that, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think, okay, and what your opinions are on that situation. That was question number 1. Do you think that Diego Cartaya is ready for the major leagues? So there you go. Okay, here's another one. What do you think the Dodgers will do at the trade deadline? Hey, if you listen to Andrew Friedman the other day, it echoed the sentiments that I have been echoing all since the offseason, okay? The Dodgers are better in trade scenarios. It's better for the organization, trades are, than free agency most of the time, because in free agency, you're having to give the long-term deals that the Dodgers don't want to do. Plus, you're also having to guess more because, hey, when you put a roster together, you don't know, you think you know what your holes are in January. You think you know what your holes are in December and November, but you're guessing to a certain extent. But by July, whenever you played, March, April, May, June, when you played 3 or 4 months already, you know exactly what your needs are in July when the trade deadline hits, okay? So you can make a much more advanced, guess, I guess you would. That's not even a guess at that point. You can make it a much more advanced assessment, I should say, as far as what your exact needs are then you can go get a guy like Tim Anderson or a Willy Adames, maybe in a trade, okay? And they are going to become free agents in 2025, so you only are signing them, we saw it with Trey Turner, Max Scherzer, that type of deal, to where you're not signing them to the 10-year deals. You have the roster flexibility to where, hey, if it doesn't work out, you can just move on and go a different route. If it does, then, hey, you have the first shot. You have the in with them in the free agency market. Hey, maybe they'll give you a hometown discount. But, hey, if you need to go free agency, that's the situation where I think free agency makes sense to the Dodgers. Is after they have a guy like a Trey Turner. Now, I know you didn't sign Trey Turner, didn't sign Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger, Justin Turner. I get all that. But I think that's the scenario where free agency makes sense for the Dodgers, and or if you have a guy like Freddie Freeman that just falls in your lap and you just can't turn it down, obviously. So, Andrew Friedman hinted to exactly what I'm saying the other day. Didn't hint. He point blank said it. It's like that whack-a-mole, and as the season goes on, you get more prepared as far as, hey, where are all the holes? Where's the mole going to come up next? You start knowing that a little bit better because you played games. You know the exact weaknesses of your team. So like right now, let's say if you had to win a World Series tomorrow, I think, the number one thing the Dodgers would have to do is go get out starting pitching, right? They would have to go get, spend whatever they need to go do to shore up their number 4 and 5 positions in the rotation. They would have to go get starting pitching, I think. So, hey, you can wait a little bit longer. Let's see if Julio Urias comes back, and how that goes. Dustin May, we'll see how that situation plays out. We'll see if one of the rookies can catch on, if Noah Syndergaard can right himself. The Dodgers, the $13 million, they're not going to, they've already eaten the Trevor Bauer situation and his salary. They're going to give Noah Syndergaard every chance to figure this out. So, hey, you're in first place now. If you start slipping, into second place, third place, it looks like the playoffs are in jeopardy. I think you need to become a little bit more urgent at that point. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be urgent right now, okay? But you still are in first place, so I still think you have the ability to see if you can fill that fifth spot with one of the rookies. See how Bobby Miller does. See if Noah Syndergaard can figure it out. You still have a little bit of leeway, a little bit of runway to let that play out. I say all that long story to say, hey, let me explain this, as far as my opinion goes. The prospect capital in the Dodgers system is insane, and most of it, guys like Michael Busch, Andy Pages, and guys like that are at the peak of their value. So if the Dodgers wait much longer to trade these guys, they're actually going to start losing value, okay? The club knows this. The prospect capital, when you look at guys like Ryan Pepio, Michael Grove, Andre Jackson, Andy Pages, Ryan Ward, Drew Avens, devinmann, Johnny DeLuca, and then all the AA pitchers with Landon Knack, Emmett Sheehan, Nick Nastrini, Nick Frasso, Kyle Hurd, and then down to your relievers like Jordan Leisure and all of those guys, Alec Gamboa, braydonfisher. There's just a million different ones that I'm going to. Ryan Sublette. Okay, you have a world of prospect capital that is at its peak right now. Okay, the Dodgers just do math. They can do math. They know not all these prospects that are major league caliber, major league quality, can become major leaguers with the Dodgers because of simple math. Okay, and plus the Dodgers are going to go out and get some veterans like they do each and every year, so that's going to reduce the pool as far as the opportunities as well. So because of that, Andrew Friedman mentioned that, hey, trade is better than free agency a lot of times for the Dodgers because you can be more specified as to your exact needs. Okay, I'm in the opinion that the Dodgers will be as aggressive as they need to be at the trade deadline. Andrew Friedman will go and get what he thinks he needs to, complete the roster to win a World Series with. I am totally confident in that. If he does not do anything at the trade line, it is only because he thinks right now he has everything he has in-house. Now, keep in mind, this is just the beginning of June. We're talking about, a month and a half from now. It would be because he is convinced that, hey, Julio Urias is back, Bobby Miller is killing it. Maybe he's convinced Noah Syndergaard it's fixed. Tony Gonsolin's still killing it. Clayton Kershaw's doing well. Hey, we have enough starting pitching. All of a sudden, Brusdar Gratterall's put up zeros and 9 or 10 performances in a row. You have Evan Phillips. Maybe Vesia corrects himself. Ferguson keeps throwing well. Vic keeps throwing really well. Victor Gonzalez, and all of a sudden your bullpen starts, because that bullpen's a crapshoot, man. Going and getting a free agent and just throwing them into a bullpen, you have no idea what you're going to get. So, okay, I'm convinced Andrew Friedman will use that prospect capital to be as aggressive as he needs to be, as he thinks he can be, to help the Dodgers win a World Series this year. You went and you signed J.D. Martinez to a 1-year contract. You signed Noah Syndergaard to a 1-year contract. In essence, you signed Clayton Kershaw to a 1-year contract. You didn't bring those veteran guys in. You went and got David Peralta. You didn't bring those guys in to not put yourself in the best position to win a World Series. I assure you that. But here's where the disconnect for fans, in my opinion, many times goes when they criticize Friedman, is that, hey, he doesn't necessarily go for the biggest names because he doesn't like the long term, because he likes that roster flexibility, because he likes to be able to not just compete, in one particular year. He likes to have enough flexibility to put his team in position to win every single year. And like I said, I think the trade market does that the best. So that's my opinion on the trade market. We are now almost 20 minutes into this show. Okay, so talking about the trade market, would you rather have Tim Anderson, Willy Adames? Okay, both are going to be free agents in 2025. Tim Anderson this year, 6 years, $4.1 million. Okay, but again, free agent in 2025. It's not necessarily the money and the salary, it's the length of contract that in my opinion, the Dodgers front office try to stay away from. Okay, Anderson, 263, OPS 608 this year. Adames, just 205, OPS 676. Okay. Now sit down, and I'm sure you're probably going to disagree with me on this. I wouldn't trade for either. I'm okay with the Dodgers shortstop positioning right now, okay? It's not like Miguel Rojas has been just an unbelievably terrible hitter over the years. I think he can come up with timely hits. I think he's a leader. I think he's as good defensively or close to as either one of those guys. I know Adames is really, really, really good defensively, but hey, here's the deal too. The Dodgers are one of, if not the best offense in all of baseball. Okay, they hit home runs. They score a ton of runs. Matter of fact, I put out a post about how good they have been just the other day. The Dodgers offense is really, really good. They have enough offense. What they need from the shortstop position is defense. They need leadership. I think Rojas brings that. Then I also like the fact that Mookie Betts can play infield every now and then, and Chris Taylor does a good job there. Okay, there's not a lot of offense as far as Chris Taylor and Miguel Rojas. I understand that. I think there's potential for Rojas to be a serviceable offensive player in this lineup. Okay, but here is my biggest reasoning. Okay, I think the Dodgers, I think they need a defensive guy there. I think they need a guy with leadership, and I think they have enough offense to be able to put that guy out there. And then also, I think you're going to get Gavin Lux back next year. So I don't think there's any reason to take, Gavin Lux out of that equation for next year. I think your stopgap for this year is good enough to win a World Series with Rojas, the offense around him. Rojas, we've seen it already, coming up with some clutch hits every now and then, great leadership. And then also what you'd be doing if you went and got an Adames or an Anderson and you had them until 2025. What do you do with Miguel Vargas? You're already blocking Michael Busch. So I think you're just adding a logjam for guys, especially with Adames, who's a 206 hitter, and I know Anderson's been a good hitter throughout his career, and he'll probably end up being, his numbers will look pretty decent this year, but those guys to me, aren't so much of an upgrade, certainly defensively, to what the Dodgers already have, to just throw that logjam wrench back into the equation, because if there's been one thing I've been frustrated with, it's been Michael Busch, lack of at-bats, the log jams that the Dodgers have created going and getting the older veterans that aren't producing, any better than a rookie would. So I think you stand the potential. I think the drawbacks of creating a log jam that stunts growth of young guys that can really, lead to building a future of World Series championships. I think that those drawbacks outweigh at this point, the improvement of what you would get from them over what you already have. Just my opinion, okay? And a lot of that, again, is because I think with J.D. Martinez, and Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will Smith, and all these guys, the Miguel Vargas, if he gets hot, James Outman we've seen can get hot, and Max Muncy, he can get hot. He hasn't been consistent, but he can get hot. I think the Dodgers, again, are good enough offensively to allow, the Dodgers to think that way. Okay, so, all right, that's the next question. All right, question number 4. Can Kody Hoese resurrect his career? Okay, Kody Hoese, if you remember 2019, first-round draft pick out of Tulane, originally Griffith, Indiana. Just got a chance to talk to him Tuesday night in Wichita. What a wonderful young man. He is an awesome dude. Okay, now here's the deal with Kody Hoese, and honestly, the answer to that is obviously yes. He's only, 25 years old, I believe. Okay, so he's still young, okay? Relatively young, okay? And here's what's happened to him. 2019, he gets drafted first round. He gets off to a really good start in his short season. Okay, so he gets off to a good start for his professional career. Everything's good. He has momentum. First round draft pick. Everybody's excited about him. 2020 rolls around. COVID cancels the season. Doesn't get to play. 2021, after not getting to play all of 2020, strains the oblique. He's out till late July, and then when he comes back in late July, if you've ever tried to hit 97, 98 mile an hour fastballs with an oblique, that isn't 100% healthy, then on top of that, you're rusty because you haven't played all year, then you didn't play in 2020. Well, no wonder he struggled down the stretch in 2021. So I was super excited last year coming into last season. Hey, with full health, let's see if Kody Hoese can prove, what made him a first-round draft pick. All of a sudden, just about this time last year, he started getting really, really hot. He hit really well for an extended period of time. He had 2 big walk-off hits, and so he started, coming into his own offensively. He always has the elite defense. I'll be dadgum if he doesn't get hurt again. He's on and off the injured list again last year. So last year, marred by injuries. Then he comes into this year, you're thinking, well, maybe this year will be the year that he goes injury-free. Then he hurts his hamstring. And then he doesn't get to play for long periods of the time at the beginning of this year. So the answer to that question is, hey, obviously, yes, he can resurrect his career. No doubt about it. There's been way too many stops and starts to Kody Hoese's career to even evaluate what he is offensively. Now, defensively, he's easily the best third baseman in the system. It's not even close. He would be a top-tier major league defender right now at third base, but third base is an offensive position, specifically power. And, hey, if Kody Hoese can stay healthy for the remainder of this year, I think we'll have a better idea exactly what type of professional hitter he's going to be. But right now is simply too early, although he is already 25. But it's too early because, again, 2020 canceled, 2021 oblique, 2022 he got hot, then he got hurt, and then at the beginning of this year, hamstring again. And also, it's not because he's brittle or frail, just simple bad luck. And I asked him in our interview, do you feel snake bit? Yeah, a little bit, that kind of thing. So, hey, yes, he has time to make up, okay, but too early on Kody Hoese. He can resurrect. Do I think he will? I've seen him, in my opinion, lately he looks more comfortable than he has. He's able to kind of dig in and use his core a little bit better, which he wasn't able to do after the oblique injury. So, obviously, I think he will. I think he's going to end up being a good offensive professional player. And asked him what his goals were for this year. He said become a major leaguer. So that's how he thinks, okay? So, yes, I do think Kody Hoese can resurrect his career, and I do think he will. Okay, so we're into 25 minutes in this show, and I am through 4 questions. I'm probably going to stop it after the 5th question here because this next one is a long one, and I'm not going to be able to I may do an entire show on this next question because I think it deserves its own 30, 45 minutes of its own. Okay, so what are the prospects that are not on the 40-man roster that Dodgers fans should know about? What a wonderful question. I told you Dodgers Daily has the best fans out there, just ridiculously good fans, okay? So, all right, so that's kind of 2-layered. Okay, the first layer is the veterans in AAA that the Dodgers have, that not necessarily prospects, but hey, they have major league experience. The Dodgers went and got him, signed him to a minor league contract. We saw Dylan Covey. He came up, a while back, and the Dodgers DFA'd him after his one appearance. Okay, so here are the guys in AAA with major league experience. Okay, Adam Kolarek, remember him with the Dodgers 2 years ago in 2020. Matt Andriese has, over 500 innings at the major league level, about a 4.65, I think, ERA in the major leagues. William Cuevas, who pitched last night, 3 innings. Okay, Brian Hudson, all right, a lefty. Andre Jackson. Okay, Nick Robertson. Okay, he doesn't have major league experience, but he is at the AAA level. Okay, Mark Washington is like Nick, does not have major league experience, but throwing very well. Gus Varlin, who just got, sent back to the Dodgers from Milwaukee. Milwaukee picked him up in the Rule 5. He got hurt, then they didn't put him back on the 26-man, sent him back to the Dodgers. Taylor Scott, who has been just simply lights out for AAA Oklahoma City in the bullpen this year, has that 3/4 slot. Very, very, very effective. Okay. And then, all right, Yanni Hernandez, Luke Williams. Got a chance to talk to Luke Williams, released his interview today. Yanni Hernandez, hey, only 25 years old. I don't think people realize that Yanni and Luke are still young, man. They're still at the age of, the Dodgers wait forever to get their prospects at the major league level. Yanni and Luke are basically the same ages of Michael Busch and James Outman and these guys that are just now breaking into the major leagues. So Luke Williams, Yanni Hernandez, Jahmai Jones. Okay, that's just at the AAA level. Okay, that's not on the 40-man roster. Okay, so how about the prospects? Hunter Feduccia, he's in AAA right now. Devinmann, Justinyurchak, Justin Hageman, who's been pitching well this year. His ERA is like 2.6 for AAA Oklahoma City, another 3/4 slot guy. Okay, bencasparius, who just got moved up to AA. I love this guy out of UConn. Nasty stuff. His stuff just is constantly moving. His ball is very tough. I call it a heavy ball because it just seems like every time you hit it, it feels like the ball weighs 1,000 pounds because you never hit it on the barrel. Tanner Dotson, if you remember Luke Raley from this last weekend, the Dodgers traded Luke Raley away for Tanner Dotson, who has thrown his fastball at 100 miles an hour before, has a really dirty slider, still at the AA level. Braydonfisher, got a chance to talk to him. Boy, he has been pitching really, really well. If you haven't had a chance, go look at his curveball. It is just absolutely fantastic. Braydonfisher has been lights out this year. Alec Gamboa, the lefty out of Madera, California, has had some ups and downs in the last 2 years. He's on an uptick right now. Former starter like John Rooney, who's moved to the pen so he can max out. Very tough individual. I call him the artist because when he's on, he paints the corners very well. Benharris, who led all of baseball last year in strikeouts per inning. Go watch the video from him last night. He struck out 2 out of the 3 of the Wichita Wind Surge hitters last night in the 9th inning to get his first save. And man, it was a 1-run game, high drama. He just squashed it all and went out there and just kicked some ass. So Benharris, he has, strikes a lot of guys out. Very impressive young man out of the University of Georgia. Antonioknowles. His slider is so good. I gave it a name called the Conchinator. I love Antonioknowles, a wonderful young man out of Key West. Had a chance to talk to him. Family first type of guy. Typical Dodger, very humble, very polite, but yet very competitive. Has a wipeout slider. Hey, Jakepilarski, the 101 Express. How about him, man? We saw him hit 101, 102 in spring training, and he has multiple pitches he can throw strikes with. And he's from Pittsburgh, so he's tough. He's just a gritty old tough dude. So nothing not to like about Jakepilarski. John Rooney, young man out of Hoster who just picked off Jose Altuve, had 18 pickoff moves last year, and he was moved to the bullpen. He's seen an uptick in everything. The Dodgers have completely changed his pitch mix. The Dodgers like the north-south pitch mix. They like the riding fastballs and then the tumbling changeups. They've actually gone away from that with John Rooney, and they've given him a cutter and now everything and a two-seam. Okay, so the two-seam's horizontal left and the cutter's horizontal right. So they've made him more of an east-west pitcher, moved him to the bullpen, and it has just struck a jackpot for John Rooney. So he's having a great year. Ryansublette, like Taylor Scott, the 3/4 slot out of Texas Tech, the Red Raiders. Young man that, boy, I tell you what, uncomfortable at bat. And, another one of those guys to where the ball's heavy, man. Every time you hit it, it feels like the bees are stinging because you never get it on the barrel, having a great year. Aldryacosta, last year after he came off injury, in his last 15 performances, basically from the end of May on, did not give up a run, gave up a run in his first outing this year, hasn't given up a run since, and he's big. The master of soft contact. Unbelievable how much soft contact Aldryacosta gets. Ilchoi, who is the Dodgers minor league pitcher of the year in 2021, obviously not on the list because he spent all of last year injured. He made his appearance about a week ago for the high A Great Lakes Loons. So welcome back, Ilchoi. Michael Hobbs, who in my opinion was the steal of the 2021 draft, all-time saves leader at St. Mary's, who has had a lot of great pitchers. Robbie Peto, who has really dedicated himself to the weight room. His body looks great. He's a lot stronger. He's the master of that piggyback system where the Dodgers like to start one guy, let him go about 4 or 5 innings, bring in a second starter, let that guy go 4 or 5 innings as well. Then you don't even have to use a relief pitcher, maybe only one. Robbie Peto is great in that piggyback role. Mitchell Turansky, the young man out of Michigan State who has been fighting injury. First time he's thrown in a game since 2019. Really good stuff. He's had some great moments this year, so there's another guy to look out for. Hey, Chrisnewell, I've been telling you about this guy out of Virginia, the flat path with the hands. He's an elite base stealer, and he has a lot of power, kind of that left-handed version of Johnny DeLuca. I am that high on this guy. I've been telling you all year, this dude is legit. He's for real. This guy has all the tools. Keep your eye on Chrisnewell. He's big time. Tayloryoung, the all-time hits leader at Louisiana Tech, maybe the smartest baseball player as far as IQ goes in the entire game. And that doesn't mean that he's not talented, because he is. Tayloryoung, very, very good. Bubbaalleyne, Tayloryoung, Bubbaalleyne, they were roommates last year. Alleyne was the Big Ten Player of the Year last year, a 2022 draft pick, just like Tayloryoung, left-handed stick. Actually, I think he's a switch hitter and very good athlete, lots of high energy. Yusniel Diaz just came back to the Dodgers. He was a pretty high prospect a couple years ago, got traded away, came back, and in his first at-bat back this year, he hit a home run with AA Tulsa. And I learned from Eddie Leonard the other day, as I interviewed him and Yorbit Vivas, they really look up to Yusniel Diaz. He's kind of that guy that, he's Cuban, although, Leonard is Dominican, but hey, there's still that international type player that they're all trying to learn the language and learn the cultures, and they're away from home. Yusniel Diaz is a guy that people like Yorbit Vivas, Eddie Leonard really look up to. Chriscampos, young man that was a shortstop at St. Mary's, actually played shortstop while Michael Hobbs was closing games at St. Mary's. Okay, he is now a pitcher only, and his velo is increasing, his body is getting bigger, so his fastball, hey, maybe 96, 97 some days, so super high on Chriscampos. Madisonjeffrey, struggling to throw strikes, but he has the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, as he calls it, the 6 slider. Okay, he has all the stuff. It's going to be a matter of Madisonjeffrey can master the strike zone or not. Paytonmartin, the young man that just got drafted out of North Carolina, straight out of high school. He's with Rancho right now. Just a world of ability, hitting 98 miles an hour. The other day I have an interview with him. Just a world of ability for Paytonmartin. He has all the swag, super confident, but yet super polite and humble, just like every other Dodger. Okay, Theron Lorenzo, the catcher that I say kind of has the mix between the Robinson Cano, Juan Soto type swing, who has been hitting a lot of home runs lately. Impressive young catching prospect, another one of those catching prospects. And then Jorge Puerta's another catching prospect. And then Kyle Nevin, who we saw just get off to a ridiculously hot start with Rancho Cucamonga. His dad, Phil Nevin, was in the major leagues for a long time. Okay, so those are the names, that strike me that aren't on the Dodgers top 30 prospects list that I think, hey, if you took just those guys right there and then you kept advancing them and made a Major League Baseball team, you would have a really good team, probably a playoff team. Probably a team that would be a very, very, very competitive Major League team. If you just advanced all those guys all together and made a team out of them at the Major League level. That's how much depth there is in the Dodgers system. That's how much talent there is. All those guys are that good and not on the 40-man, part of the talent pool the Dodgers have to choose from. Okay, so some of the questions we didn't get to. What should the Dodgers do with Noah Syndergaard? We've already talked about that. What should the Dodgers do with their bullpen? I wouldn't be able to answer that very well anyways, because they, like I said the other day, the bullpen has me at a loss. Do you think James Outman will break out of his slump? Obviously, my answer is going to be yes. There is no human being on earth that has, and that probably includes James himself, but there's no human being on earth that has more confidence in James Outman than I do. Okay, I've just seen him just be a stud for so long. I could not have more confidence in James Outman than I do. Okay, what are your thoughts on Miguel Vargas? I said that earlier. I think he's an east-west hitter, and I think he's trying to, use his body like he's a north-south hitter, and because of that, I think he's having a hard time pulling the hands inside the inside pitches. I think that's an adjustment he's going to have to make. Okay, and which pitching prospect that hasn't been up with LA do you think is the most ready? I'll point blank say this. I think it's Landon Knack, and I think that's because he's a guy that has 4 pitches. We saw with Gavin Stone the other day, he needs 3 pitches. Gavin only had 2 that he could rely on, sometimes only 1 because he wasn't throwing the 4-seam for strikes either. Okay, Landon Knack can land 4 different pitches. He was 93 the other night when I saw him in Wichita, but he's been hitting 96 this year. So I think because Landon Knack can land 4 different pitches in the strike zone, I think he's the most ready of all the AA pitchers right now. Now, he doesn't have the biggest fastball. Emmett Sheehan is approaching 99. Nick Frasso hit 100 the other day. River Ryan's 98, 99. And there, Kyle Hurt's been hitting 99. Doesn't have the biggest fastball, but he does have, to me, the smoothest mix in terms of being able to make it all effective because he can throw strikes for it. I've seen Landon Knack throw any pitch in any situation and in any count. And to me, that plays a long ways at the major league level because, it's harder to get a book on you with something that major league hitters will do very fast. So I think Landon Knack is the most plug-and-play ready of all the Dodgers AA, the AA drillers. They have the best staff in all the minor leagues, not just the Texas League, and that goes for overall ERA for the entire staff when you talk about starters and relievers, and then also their starting pitching has the lowest ERA of any staff in all the minor leagues. And I think Landon Knack is the most major league ready plug-and-play guy of that list. And that's why, because, again, the 4 pitches, I think that goes a long ways at the major league level. Okay, so I've talked a long time. Okay, we've gone almost 40 minutes with this. Those were the 10 questions. I kind of glazed over the last 5. But, hey, again, I might just do a show, in itself of all the guys that aren't on the 40-man course. That changes. That's a fluid situation. So, hey, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Okay, I love the War Room. I love it when people give their opinions, and we have just absolutely awesome conversations. And I'm just telling you, just read the comments. Again, I've said this over and over. The comments here on Dodgers Daily are just insanely ridiculous. We're still not very big. This site is growing. We're still not huge. But hey, man, the support we get and the interaction we get, you guys are all part of this. You guys are helping me, build this thing in terms of being the way that we want it, as far as, us being able to discuss all this and get all of our thoughts out. So I appreciate that. Always look forward to the comments every time I drop a video. So that's my show for you today. Just one last reminder for you. If you'd like to help Dodgers Daily by donating, just scroll down to the description, click the link to the GoFundMe account for Dodgers Daily. Also, go ahead and hey, interact with this video, like it, leave a comment, make YouTube think that this is a video that people like. That way it gets suggested, it gets seen more, and Dodgers Daily can keep growing. And make sure and turn on your notifications after you become a subscriber. So hey, I want to thank you for tuning in and say go Dodgers. Hey, beat the Yankees.